Let's see. Only just because it's Internet Explorer. We missed you. Thank you very much, Abdullah. Artur, hello. Or Gomez. Let's see. Srijan says, can anyone play Flight of the Bumblebee? I actually cannot unless I practiced it a little bit and then I could. Or F sharp minor. Yeah, I can explain those two in a minute here, Internet Explorer. Emmanuel, hello. Abdullah. Okay, let's see. Thank you for making a stream now. You're very welcome. And then Manaj says, I was watching one of your videos on notation reading. Is it possible to read very tough notation considering interval techniques? The answer is yes. I will answer that formally later on, but since I could provide such a short answer for you, the answer is yes. Hello, Tim. I pray you're having a wonderful day. I am. Thank you very much, Odette. I wanted to say that with a little help of my music director and yourself, that you're both teaching me. Oh, well, I'm very glad to hear that. In the process of writing my very first song. Well, very great to hear that, Odette. All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm so happy everybody could be here today. I am answering your questions, so I'm going to scroll through and answer some of the questions that have been asked already. So if I skipped your question, do not worry, we'll get to that. And then while I am answering the questions, feel free to let me know any questions you may have. I'll take questions for maybe about 20 minutes to half an hour, at which case I'll probably have to cap it off only because I may start to get so many questions I won't be able to get to them all. So, the lesson might go longer than that. It's just that I'll probably cap off questions at a certain point. But here we go. We will start answering questions. Let me go back. And like I said, if it seems like I missed your question, do not worry. If I eventually get very far in the lesson, I don't answer it, remind me. Okay, let's go back to not there. That's where the stream is. Sorry about that, everybody. The scroll bar is a little different for the chat than it is everything else. Okay, good question here. So here we go. All right, and then let me make sure I got everything set up here correctly. Okay, almost there. Okay, so one of our wonderful live stream attendees here, you'll see his name here in a second, asked this wonderful question. So let's take a look at it together. And that question is, what does A flat major mean? So let me explain the answer to this question. Let's take a look here. I think, no, this is the one we want. Okay, any key signature tells you basically what notes are sharp or flat in a piece. You're not going to have sharps and flats. You just have sharps or flats. If you want to learn more about that, check out the link in the description. I'll provide a video for you to where you can learn more about this. Specifically, what A flat major means is that you're going to be playing in a key with 4 flats that are consistently flat throughout the piece. No matter what line or space they happen to fall under. These 4 flats are the first 4 in your order flats. They are B, E, A, and D. And again, I'll provide some resources to catch you up if you are not familiar with these. So what that means is when you're playing the A flat major scale, which is a good idea because a scale really is all the notes that exist in the key from beginning to end. So if you learn how to play the scale, you can better visualize what that key is going to look like when you're playing it on the piano and what flats or sharps you have to be on the lookout for. So if we're playing in the key of A flat, first let's just chart out kind of where we're going. So in any scale, you're going from the starting note to that same note and all the notes in between. And like I said, there may be sharps or flats in the middle there. So basically what you have to do is every time you see a B, an E, an A, or a D, in that scale, they have to be flat, and they're replacing the original of that note. So you're not going to play A flat and A. you're playing A flat instead of A. So you're going A flat. The next note of the scale is B flat, because B flat's one of the flats we have. The next note normally would be C, and that's not in the key signature. And remember that we have 4 flats, B, E, A, and D. So this next note is going to be a flat. The next one's going to be a flat, because that's E flat. F, right? No F flats in the key signature. G, natural, regular G. And then A flat. So basically what it's showing you is that there are 4 flats in this key. You may have counted 5, and that's because the beginning and ending note are the same note. You don't count those twice. So that's the layout of the key. Let me show you really quick what the key A flat's going to look like on sheet music. All right, everybody, so let me get this set up. Since I'm doing a question and answer, I don't have everything 100% there, but it's going to take just a second. So do not worry, friends. Okay, here we go. All right, let me show you what I'm doing. So here we go. All right, we're changing key signature. So A flat major looks like this. Okay, so this is what A flat major looks like. If it's in the key signature, you're going to see these 4 flats in the beginning of the song. And if you take a look at what notes would be placed there, you know, you have this note here, you could place a note there. The notes would be B, E, A, and D, the same flats we said before. So I wasn't lying before. Those are the flats that we have. And so if you have a piece, right? So say we have like, let's just say we're going up the scale just so we can visualize what we're talking about a bit better. Okay, give me just a second. Get the rest of it set up here. Okay, so here we have the scale. So if you just totally ignored the flats, it would look exactly the way we had it before. Let me show you here. It'll look exactly the way we had it before when we didn't put any of the flats. But if you use what's in the key signature, sorry about that, it's the exact way we played it on the keyboard before. So this is just visually what it looks like, the key A flat major looks like on the staff. And be sure to check out a lot of the other playlists I have about key signatures, especially the one about the circle of fifths. I'll provide a playlist for you to click on once the video is posted, or always the description is a great place for that. All right, let's get on to the next lesson topic. All right, let's see. Okay, now I got it. All right, another one of our live stream attendees here in the community Minaj asked, so I was wondering, watching one of your videos rather, on notation reading. Is it possible to read very tough notation considering interval techniques? Now, the answer to this is absolutely. In fact, that's what the interval techniques are used for. Not only learning the intervals when you're reading from left to right in a melody, but when you're reading complex things going up and down in harmony, it's useful as well. Let me show you a couple of quick examples. Okay, so All right, let me just write out, like, it's not going to be super complicated, but it's just really just to demonstrate, intervals and things like that. So I don't know how this is going to sound. It could be terrible. I'm trying to make it make sense, but I am just kind of throwing the notes in there. Okay. I don't know. Let's just say we have this again, because I think you'll understand my overall point. Come on. I keep messing this up. Really? Okay, it's not cooperating. What else is new? So let me just write. Okay, so here we have our example. Now, just a warning, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to sound, just because I wrote it up as an example to illustrate a larger point. So let me get it in focus here to where we can mostly see what's happening. Okay, so you're looking at something like this and you're like, man, there is a lot going on there. Obviously, there's music out there where even a lot more goes on. So you can read intervals in two ways, more than two ways, but two basic ways, from left to right in a melodic sort of way, or up and down in a harmonic sort of way. So let me show you what I mean. So obviously I can be looking at the line of how the notes go. So see how you have a line of top notes, and this is very common in songs to have a top, what we call top voice, a couple of middle voices, and then a bottom voice, or soprano, alto, tenor, bass. There can be more than that. So anyway, you follow basically each line of melody like that. And I can see that, here's a unison, and then up a major second, just like that. So I can read the notes like that in an interval. And that does help, especially if you have one line of music at a time. Now, obviously, you can use the interval technique to read up and down as well. So you have like these two notes. If you know about my interval technique, you know that that's a fourth. And then you can even look, obviously with the bass clef, there's another fourth. And then you have a fifth right there. So just knowing that, I have a fifth on the bottom, a fourth right there, and then I have a fourth up there. That actually sounds pretty cool. Now, I read that a lot faster using intervals, and I like to use intervals like when I read notes from bottom to the top, even though I explained it from the top to the bottom, but when I actually do it, I do it from the bottom to the top. So I'd say there's a fifth there, fourth there, and a fourth up top. And there, I read them a lot faster. Now, my knowledge of key signatures helps as well, because I just know where the sharps or flats are. And it really helps. Whoa, there's a wasp again. Freaking wasps. Hold on. Sorry about that. There's a wasp. And it looks like he's flying away now. I think. I hope. I even killed a bunch of them. Oh, hold on. I can kill him. Hold on. I got a chance to kill him. Okay, got him. Do you think I'll ever stop being attacked by bees down here? I've killed... What was weird, though, is that it's a wasp, and mostly we've been dealing with bees. So, Who knows? All right, let me get back here. Sorry for getting sidetracked for a minute. These things happen. I'm sure it's entertaining, though, at least. Okay, so as I was saying, you read the intervals from the bottom to the top, and just doing that, I can read them a lot faster. My knowledge of key signatures really helps as well, since I know where the sharps and flats are. Like I said, I didn't make this to sound pretty. Although that one sounds kind of cool. Okay, so that answers the question. The answer is absolutely that the interval technique comes in handy when doing this sort of thing with more complex patterns in music. And if you, excuse me, if you want to learn more about that, check out the playlist I have about using the interval technique if you don't know about it already. Okay, on to the next question. Okay, what's one of the most difficult songs you've learned? Probably the Pathetique Sonata. Okay, Keaton asks how to play arpeggio numbers, arpeggio sharp and flat keys. Okay, I can talk about that. I think I got what you're asking here. Let's see. Okay. Oh wait, hold on. I had to move this to kill that bee, kill that wasp. So might get attacked again. We'll see. All right. Right. Okay, so another one of our wonderful students in the community asks, Keaton asks, how to play arpeggios, sharps, and flat keys. So I believe your question is how to play arpeggios using sharp, starting on sharp or flat keys, or if they have sharp or flat keys in there. Since the fingering is a little bit different than the traditional way, let me show you how that works. So, oh wait, we want this one this time. Okay. All right, so I mentioned in a lesson a little while ago that when you are doing what I call white key major chords or white key minor chords, all white keys, that you want to be using the fingering 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5. Because it's just easier to pivot on that third finger than it is to jump up from that fifth finger. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 5. Now, that works. Even if they have a black key in the middle there, it works. So if it starts on a white key, pretty sure that's true for all of them, the fingering's the same. Left hand is 5, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 5. So it's kind of a repetitive pattern that way. And that's true for all of them unless they start on a flat key. So if you have E flat major, and I use that fingering, it works okay. I think it actually works fine. You can actually use that one and probably get away with it. It's a little jumpy though. If you notice, because there's such a big gap between these two keys here, the B flat and the E flat, it's harder to pivot than it is. It's not that much harder, but it's a little bit harder to pivot than the other, all white key or white key major chords. So when you're doing this, I would do the fingering 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. And then coming down as 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4. Now I need to practice a little bit, but as you can see, I can play it up and down fairly effectively. You can even start on 2 or 3. So just knowing that for the flat keys, it's a little different. Left hand is 3, 1, 4. Wait. I haven't played the left hand ones in a little while, admittedly. All right, so the left hand one starting on a flat is 3 1 4 2 1 4 2 1 4 2, or you can end on 1 if you want, but I like to keep it consistent. So using that, you can play up and down a little bit more effective. I mean, you can still use the fingering you did before, but having the flats there, and it sort of moves the spacing a little bit with how the fingers fit. Using the alternate fingering for the flat keys is something I do advise. Okay, if you want to learn more about scales or chords and arpeggios, rather, check out a playlist I'm going to put around here or in the description. All right, let's talk about the next question here. Okay, today we are talking about a little bit about using the pedal with fast notes, and this comes from a question of one of our wonderful students, Rich, who's a regular attendee of the live stream, asks, Tim, how to use the pedal with fast notes. Do you not use the pedal after the notes? Let me think about this. So let's take a look over here. So the question was, how do you use the pedal with fast notes? Do you use the pedal until after the notes? Do you? Oh, I see what you mean. Do you not use the pedal until after the notes? I gotcha. Let me write out some kind of example right here. Whoops. All right, let me just write this out pretty quick. See if it will let me. All right, here we go. I'm just going to draw straight 16ths across, make life easy, right? Okay, so say I had this pattern here of 16th notes, right? And it had the pedal marking on the bottom. It really depends on what you're going for. If you're going for a crispness, then I would use, you can actually do what's called a half pedal. Now, I don't have the camera to show you my pedal, but I literally have the pedal only halfway up. And I actually start like all the way up. It's a little different on each piano, and I see where it just starts to catch, but doesn't blend all the notes together. This is actually a better effect even on a real acoustic piano than it is electronic piano, because I'm pretty sure the way my pedal works is like as soon as it detects that it's pushed down, it just puts the effect on. But even still, like if I put it right where it starts to do that, I can just lift up a little bit if I feel like it's starting to blend together too much. So the answer really is, I think, is use your ears and try to determine whether the type of song or that section of the piece is what it's going for. Is it going for the crispness between each of the notes? Is it like a Bach invention where the crispness between notes is really, really important, in which case, actually, some people don't use pedal at all with Bach because he didn't use pedal. At least I'm pretty sure. But a lot of people do use, contemporary use pedal with Bach as well. But during a lot of sections where, again, it depends on the crispness of the notes, then I would say go for it. If you're going for like an effect, like a strumming maybe of a harp or something like that, if the composer's going for something like that, then I would say put the pedal down more. But if you want to play it safe, you can use the half pedal. And like I said, it especially works well if you have a regular acoustic piano. But even with a keyboard, it does help because you at least can pop it up a little bit if you start to hear that bleed together. And I would say the more that those fast notes change chords, the less pedal you want to do. So if say this first set of 16th notes was E flat, E flat, F, G, A flat, and then the next were like or something like completely different, then I would either pop up the pedal completely between those patterns or just keep it halfway. Again, use your ears. If it's sounding like it's bleeding through too much when you're playing it, then it probably is. And again, recording yourself probably is a good idea so you can hear that without concentrating on all the notes at the same time. Okay, continuing from Rich's question just for a second is Rich comments further, the notes always seem to bleed over when using the pedal during 8th and 16th. So yeah, try the half pedal technique, and really as soon as you hear it start to bleed through, you can, don't get me wrong, like when the pedal marking says that you're supposed to have it held down the whole time, you can mess with that a little bit according to your own hearing. So even if you're following the tempo marking, which is basically the point, is that if you're following the tempo marking and it doesn't sound right to you, adjust to see if you can get it to sound better. Again, if they're going for the crispness of the notes, you want to be very sparing or very sparring with the amount of pedal you use. If it's some kind of effect they're going for, where it makes sense, like a strumming kind of effect, then the pedal would make more sense. Let's see. I'm going to ask Srijin's question real quick, not as like one where I set up ahead of time, because I think I can answer it very quickly. Srijin says, I'm in initial grade, but I can play Flight of the Bumblebee. Do I have any chance of skipping grades? That depends on your other skills. So it depends on what grading system you're going by, first of all, and what school you are a part of. But the thing is that say you are able to excel at learning pieces and you can learn a piece way above your level. Just be careful about skipping grades and things like that, because there are other things you're probably supposed to be practicing as well that you might not get right away. So what'll happen is as you try harder and harder pieces, you'll come across things that you'll just not know how to play or you've never had experience with before. So even still, I would go through some of the earlier material and I wouldn't skip too far ahead. Okay, let's see. Srijan's. Okay, Varun asks, Sir, please come to India. Well, I can't come to India. It looks like a lot of people like me in India, though. I did notice that a lot of viewers or a lot of students here on the channel are from India. Is there any way to learn piano without piano? Good question. And you know what? Is that it's probably, I don't know whether you're joking or not, but I do get this as a serious question. I really do. The question is, can I learn a piano if I don't have a piano at home? And the answer is not really. It's very, very difficult. You really need somewhere or something to practice on. But I seriously get calls every once in a while asking if I can set up piano lessons, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we don't have a piano or keyboard or anything. Is it going to work?" And it's like, not really. You really need that piano or keyboard. Okay. Okay, Varun says, please tell about arpeggio patterns. So I did earlier. If you missed out a few minutes ago, I may have actually answered it as you were asking the question, but I talked about briefly playing, white key arpeggios and one starting on the black keys, the flat or sharp keys. Excuse me. And then I do have a video about arpeggios as well. If you type in arpeggios lessons on the web into YouTube, it should pop up. Okay, Abdullah S. I'm practicing Bach Prelude, confused by the piece. The time signature is 4/4, and there are 8 triplets in each measure. 4/4 time. Um, you know what? Let me see here. Hold on. Okay, so what I would do is I'm not sure exactly where you're getting confused, but what I would do is really I would just focus on hitting the triplets 1 2 3 1 2 and go slow, obviously 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. I kind of know which one you're talking about. Bum 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 bum. Actually, that might be a different one, but that could be the one you're talking about. That actually might be a no. I think that is a prelude, but I might be thinking about book 2. Let's take a look here. Don't worry, he will get to your questions sooner or later. So let me quickly talk about arpeggios. Even though I did make that lesson again, look up that lesson because I'll just briefly go over it now. All you need to know about arpeggios is that instead of playing the notes, all at once, you're playing the notes separately. And that's really all you got to know. A lot of times when you're practicing arpeggios, you want to practice them in multiple octaves because a lot of times in music, that's what happens. And it really helps with your hand dexterity and coordination to play up and down those effectively. Now, earlier in the lesson, I'll post the recording later, I did talk about the fingering, so look back there for that since I do have to move on to other questions. But I did want to touch on the arpeggio thing a little bit. And then check out the lesson also I made. Just type in arpeggios lessons on the web. That should get you where you need to be. Okay, let's take a look here. Yeah, and then by the way, everybody, I am answering the questions in the order they were posted, so I can get to more of them. Bead Girl Can Fly. Oh, that works. Yeah, Bead Girl Can Fly. Odette says, I came up with my own mnemonic for the order sharps or flats, and that's BADGCF, which is what you're supposed to remember, and it's Bead Girl Can Fly. All right, Air Explorer says, thank you so much for your help. It really helped a lot. Thank you very much. That's a good one, Odette. And then Rich says, the notes always seem to bleed over. Okay, I read that already. Okay, here we go. This is a good one to talk about a bit. And then we are, I didn't even notice, we're starting to get into the half an hour range. So as I said, about 20 to 30 minutes in, we're over 30 minutes already, is I will cut off questions. So I'm probably going to answer 2, maybe 3 more questions. If I didn't get to your question today, I'm really, really sorry about that. But I do want to make sure that I get to as many as I can. So, unless it's really, really short, then you can ask it. If not, just save it for another time when we do this. Or even better is leave it for a comment, that's what they're called, in the video, and then I can answer it and look at it there. Okay. Okay, Suresh asks, C major relative key is A minor. What does that mean? Well, this is a wonderful question. I'm sure a lot of people wonder what this means. So let's take a look. Okay, C major and A minor are what we call relative keys, meaning that they share the exact same key signature. Remember that in a key, the key signature tells you what notes are sharp, what notes are flat. So for every key that has a certain amount of sharps, there's a major, so say 4 sharps. There's a major and then a minor that goes along with each one. For C major, which has no sharps, no flats, all the white keys here, there's a minor key that shares the exact same kind of idea, where it has no sharps, no flats. And to figure that out, this works for all major keys, is you start on the note you are originating from, the key you're originating from. So if you know you're in C major, you go down 3 half steps. 1, a 2, a 3, to A minor, and you just play up the scale, no black keys, and that is the A, what we call the A natural minor scale. So that is what they mean by a relative major or relative minor. If you're in a minor key, so E minor, and you want to figure out the relative major, and you know that E minor has 1 sharp, F sharp, you go up 3 half steps. So you start on the note you're on, you go up 1, a 2, a 3, and then G major, the relative major, has the same exact sharp, F sharp. So keep in mind that when I'm playing E minor, the only difference here, as long as it's natural minor, is that I'm just starting on a different note. It's the same scale, sharp's in the same note. It's not in the same place because, you know, that's the second note. The other, it's the next to last one. But it's the same sharp, same thing, same notes in between, except you're just starting on a different place, and that's really the only difference. So long as it's natural minor, I'll explain the harmonic minor at a different time. And I have another video, so make sure, obviously, to check those out. And let me think about this. All right, and if you want to learn more about these different key signatures, I, of course, have a bunch of lessons here I have collected together in a playlist that you can check out that I highly, highly recommend. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. How to modulate keys. This is a big one. Whew. Let's see. This is something that I am going to have to make a full-blown lesson on, but let me, Varun, try to give you a very, introductory kind of lesson into this. So let me show you how to do this. Like I said, I'd have to write out something ahead of time for this. So let me just show you on the piano so I can do that. Okay, so Varun asked about modulating on the piano and how to do it. Well, I'm going to talk about only one modulation right now, and that's the common chord modulation. So when you're in a certain key, say you're in C major, first of all, you want to consider the available options to where you can modulate. You can modulate actually to pretty much anywhere, but certain keys certainly work better than others. One is the relative minor, which you talked about, before, where it's the same key just on another note. That's probably a good one. If you're new to modulating, that's probably what you want to do. So, and then another one is from the tonic, which is the first note of the scale. You can modulate to a key 5 notes up, which is G major. So if I am playing an example in C major, and I have a standard 1-4-5-1 progression in my left hand, and I want to modulate though to G major. So what you want to do is consider what chord exists both in C major and G major. There's actually quite a few, because C major, remember that if you have 8 notes or 7 individual notes in a scale, you can build a chord on every single one of those, and it gives you 8 chords total, but 7 individual chords to work with. Now, when you are modulating, you have to consider the 7 chords that exists in G major. So basically what I would do is pick out, where does the sharp occur in G major? Well, that's the F sharp, right? So that tells you that any chord that uses an F at all, you can't do. So you can't do it between an F major chord, because it's supposed to be F sharp in G major. So what you want to do is pick a common chord. These are called common chord modulations that exist between both keys. And you can actually pick even the tonic. So if you're in C major and you're modulating to G major, you can even modulate right onto the G major chord if you want. So basically, if I'm playing an example, say I'm like, all right, well, maybe halfway through the example, I want to wind up in G major. So let me try it out. Let me see what I can do. So I'm doing the 1 chord, 4 chord in C major, and then I'm getting to the G here. Let me see if I can modulate here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what that means. And then I'm gonna be, and now I'm pretending that that G major chord, which was the 5 before, is now the 1 chord. And then I'm going to start playing a progression in the key of G. So 1, 4, 5, 1. Why not? Now let me do the whole thing beginning to end so you can see kind of how it might work. And I would need to play around with this to get the best sound of how I can modulate. But here we go. All right, I want to try that one final time because I think I can do a little better. There you go. Now I've successfully modulated. And it sounds good enough. Like I said, eventually I'm going to make a full lesson about this, but I want to give you a little insight onto how to modulate, right now. Okay, so all of the other questions going down the list, I am going to answer fairly quickly. I'm just going to kind of shotgun them. I'm not going to change the views around to show you and everything. Or what I'll do is I'll just point you in the right place. So here we go. Is it compulsory I must know all the keys from A to G before to be called a good pianist? Yes. Yeah, well, certainly you want to know the layout of the piano. You definitely need that. And yeah, I would learn all the keys. I would learn all the major keys. Including the flats and the sharps and all that. You want to learn all the minor keys, and I would actually practice those scales. I would practice your natural minor scales, harmonic minor scales. I can't explain what those are right now. And then, actually, those two I think will work pretty well. Okay, let's take a look here. We got Ram here today. Hello, Ram. How you doing? Or Kumar. Let's see. Relative. Okay, Rich has got it on lockdown. Thank you very much, Rich. Okay, Kumar asks, or Ram Kumar asks, do you have a lesson for both hand fingering for all scales on the piano? Great question, because right now I am in the process of writing out the next lessons for the next, actually, couple of months, probably until the end of the year almost, which actually isn't that far away. 2 months and we'll be there. Oh my goodness. But anyway, it's going to get cold too. Anyway, I am writing out the lessons for the rest of the year. And that lesson is actually towards the top of the list. It might not be next week, but it's very soon, like within the next couple of weeks. Probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, that lesson will be out. But great question. So the answer is yes. Suresh says, thank you. Okay, you're very welcome from Rich, I'm sure. Varun says, sir, how to compose a song as a beginner? Oh, great question. Let me show you. I'm not going to show you right now, but let me show you what I want you to take a look at. So what I want you to do, and when I post the recording of this, I'll try to remember to put a link for you, but let's take a look. Okay. I want you to, what is it? Honestly, if you type in first song lessons on the web, no, that's not it. Oh, here we go. I would, so it's called your first music composition lesson. So type that into YouTube and it'll take you there. It's got a picture of me and a pencil right here. So yeah, check that out. Your first music composition lesson. Actually, maybe I should have even called it writing your first song. The thumbnail says that, but anyway, check that lesson out. That will really help you out building your first song, the basics behind that, and just getting a simple chord and melody structure going. Okay, Adria says, I almost called you Audrey again. Adria says, just tuning in, didn't realize you went live. Yeah, kind of a spur of the moment thing. Abdul says, can you play an advanced piano piece? Yes, but not, not right now. Not enough time. But the answer is yes, especially if I had time to practice. But I've been mostly teaching for the last few years, really. But I do play from time to time. Rich says, I think my pedal is not good. It blends everything. Then yes. It could be, yeah. It could be that maybe something's wrong with the function of your pedal, but I would just try to see if there's anything you can do to fix that. And if it's an acoustic piano, you'll have to get it looked at. And if it's an electronic piano, you might want to just buy a new pedal. I think you do have an electronic. Okay, there are some pieces doesn't rate dynamics or tempo. How can you figure it out? That's a great question. Um, okay, let me do this. I like this question. I will answer this one, but I'll answer it quickly. Okay, we have an interesting question today. Let's take a look. Abdullah asks, there are some pieces which don't rate the dynamics or tempo in. How can you figure that out? So let's take a look. I'm not going to get, actually, if you're more interested in hearing more about this topic, let me know in the comments and then I'll make a full video on it. But right now, I'm just basically going to kind of peruse through it and describe this the best I can with some very basic tips. Okay, so if they don't rate in the dynamics or the tempo, what do you do? Well, there's some very basic rules, and rule number one is that when you have chords and things, and they are all what we call consonant chords, they're major chords, things like that. They don't have a lot of notes that clash or anything. The rule is when you start to hit chords that have a little bit more tense in them, I tend to play those louder. And then when you resolve the chord to something that doesn't sound so tense, then you can lift up off of the dynamics a little bit. Another tip I have for you is consider what the song is going for. To consider the title of the song, the subject matter. Is the subject matter a very loud kind of event? Is it a soft event? Try to get your dynamics to match those the best you can. Excuse me. All right. And then another tip for you is to just look it up. There's probably another version of the song out there that has the dynamics, and then you can look for it there. So some basic techniques. Look for what the song's doing. Is it a real tense moment of the song? Then maybe you want to add some more dynamics. If it's something that's a little bit more laid back, then you can dial it back. Same thing with the tempo. Consider what the song's going for. If it's a well-known piece, look up that piece to see generally what that piece is supposed to be played in. It's usually a range they give you. You'll find even really professional piano players play it at a little bit different of a tempo, so you will notice that as well. So it's just some basic tips for you in case they do not rate in the dynamics. Okay, you're very welcome, Rich. Let's see. Sir, do you watch Laper piano lessons? Not on a regular basis. I know who Laper is. Can I play Pokemon? I can play the game. I'm pretty good at the games. Actually, I haven't played one in a while. Let's see. I wish I could play one on the piano right now. Like the gym leader theme would be awesome. Ron says it's a good idea to learn piano on a keyboard, not weighted keys. I have one and been learning basics on it. So you basically kind of answered the question for me a little bit that if you're just learning the basics, like, where's C, where's D, where's E, where's F, just to kind of see how you work with it, that's fine. But if you're seriously starting to learn how to play pieces, like even a few weeks in, I would consider getting something. Consider getting an upgrade, especially like if you have the money and you're able to do it, then do it. If you're on a budget, then you get what you work with pretty much. But you can learn basic things. You can learn basic rhythm and things like that. But in terms of developing actual technique, being able to play up and down the piano effectively, you definitely want something a little bit more professional with weighted keys at least. Okay, Ram says you gave me a lot of inspiration for starting to learn. Okay, but after a while I lost my motivation even though I'm eager to learn. It's just that I'm overwhelmed with stuff I have to learn. Yep, makes sense. So if you are especially in school or something like that, or you're starting a new job, then yeah, you're going to feel overwhelmed. And that's very normal. But you should still stick with it. Just play some songs whenever you get a chance. It's okay to put piano on the back burner for a little bit if you have a lot of other important, really important things going on. It's life. There are really important things going on all the time. At least in my life, there are. So you really have to weigh out what you're able to do. Even with me, I would love to practice more, but the time just really doesn't permit between all the other things that I'm going for. Keaton asks a very interesting question again. How to and by the way, just to wrap it up, the other question, because I kind of just shot off into another thing there, is just keep up with it. Practice some songs whenever you can, and then wait for a moment where you have less things going on, and then see if you can put more into it. But I would still keep piano, like, don't stop practicing entirely, or don't feel so overwhelmed that you stop practicing. That's bad. Just practice as much as you can and keep up with it. I mean, like, try to keep up with it as much as you can. You might not be able to. But then when you get an opportunity again, then start picking it back up again. And that's very normal, happens to everybody. It's something that everybody ought to deal with. All right, how to compose your own melody? Ask Keaton. Interesting question, because that's another new lesson coming out in the next few weeks. Hello, Mukul is back here once again. Thanks for coming out. Hello, sir. So I have my Berklee audition. Okay. Coming. What do you think I should do with the performance piece? Please give me advice. I'm planning to perform more of a classical type. Infuse it with a bit of the modern music. That's a loaded question for sure. So I have my Berklee audition coming. Okay, what do you think I should do with the performance piece? Please give me some advice. That's something I would honestly have to work with you on a one-to-one basis. Do you have a teacher you're currently working with, like a private instructor? If not, I highly recommend you do, at least for a few lessons. What's that, Berklee? Yeah, Berklee is a very high-level school. Is it necessary to play the right hand with the speed of the left hand? Yeah, I would like whatever hand that you feel like is lagging behind. Work on that a little bit more. All right, I'm going to gunshot the rest of these just because we are running out of time that I have for today. Funny Dice is here in Bangor, Maine. What books on piano music theory for composers do you recommend? That's something that I'll have to make a lesson on of itself. Because I do have some, but I have not looked at them in a while. So I'm going to have to gather some up for you, and then I'll have to make a lesson on that. Okay, learn Laurie's theme for Halloween, says Rich. Very nice. Thanks for the podcast. It basically was a podcast, wasn't it? And then, can you once play C major scale for 2 octaves slowly? See how the fingering goes? Yeah, I can do that. And then let's see. Nope, I'm on my own. Okay, so very, very impressive that you are doing the audition. Every audition I've ever had to do for any school, they have, if you go to their website, they have a like something you can print out that tells you what you should be working on. Because generally they're going to want you to learn a couple of pieces from each time period, at least in the ones I've ever done. So you might have to learn some, classical, some contemporary. I don't know if they're going to be wanting you to fuse them together unless you're doing some kind of improv kind of thing. But you definitely want to go to the Berklee page, School of Music, and then maybe even chat with a professor there to make sure that you have the correct material of what you're supposed to be practicing. Practice what they tell you to practice for sure. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing because I'm really not sure about that. But good luck to you. That's amazing. Okay, C major scale. Here we go. And then we'll have to wrap it up a little bit. And then I'll tell you what's going on a little bit. Because there's sort of a new thing. Okay, here we go. C major scale. 2 octaves. So what I would do is I would use... Oh yeah, I'm just playing it. So you can see. So right here you're going to pivot to get to that second octave. Then coming down. And then the left hand. Then you're going to cross with 4 here. Just give you a little tip. Then you're going to cross under here after finger 3. And then again after this D here. So a lot of crosses here because after this A, you're going to have to cross under again. There you go. All right, how can I practice rhythm? I have a metronome, but I can't read music quite fast enough. You know, I have some music courses over on my website. I also have a playlist that I don't quite remember where it's at, but what is it? I think if you type in... Oh, come on. Sorry, my tablet was doing weird stuff. Laptop, rather. Okay, so if you type in rhythm practice, and I'm going to have to make more lessons in this. Lessons on the web. Let's see what that does. There it is. Okay, so if you type in rhythm practice lessons on the web, it'll start you through the series. I think it's about 10 or 11. You can start there. That'll kind of get you a little more practice with rhythms. I'm going to have to make a rhythm, like kind of a few more lessons on rhythm here on YouTube for sure. All right, and then Sahix, I'm not sure how to say your name exactly. Sahix, maybe. Sahihix. I do not have access to a piano teacher. Well, you know, that does happen. I recommend if you have an opportunity to get one for sure. And then, yeah, look up what Berklee's requirements are. And then if you have any questions about those, you know, just let me know and I can take a look for you. And provide some general guidance. I can't help you through the whole thing because it is a lot of the work's going to have to be on your part to prepare. Shuresh says, thanks a lot, Tim. You're very welcome. So thanks, everybody, for coming out today. Let me see if there's any... No. Wow, we got to the whole thing. There was a ton of questions today, but that was awesome because that was the whole point of today. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen with everything we talked about today. So... the new strategy of, I'm still keeping the live streams and everything. I'm going to either add a live stream here on Thursday, maybe. Or what I'll do is I'll go back to doing the Friday main lesson and then the Sundays, like where we all get together and ask questions like we did today. So the point of this is that I'm going to take the questions that you asked me today and I'm going to chop them up into mini lessons that I can put out there and then put on into playlists. And actually this really helps because the problem with doing these let me like answer everybody's question lessons is that they don't get categorized right. So really it just shows up as today's live stream or whatever. Even if I put the tags and everything in there, it might not show up when people, you know, search it. So when I make these like mini lessons out of these questions that we have, then people, when they, you know, they ask on YouTube or, you know, on the channel, you know, what's the difference between a relative key and or, you know, what's a relative key? and then they'll see that, the question we talked about today, rather than it being hidden in the into the live stream itself. So you're actually going to see your questions for the most part, unless I kind of answered them really quickly. You're actually going to see your questions being posted as a video, basically. And obviously they're going to be a little on the shorter side, but the regular videos are still coming out. So we're having our Friday main lesson where I'm making the main lesson for the week and things like that. So that's all the same. So I'm just really adding a little bit to it to let you know that check out. You're going to see some of the topics we talked about today put into actual lessons. Another thing it does also helps me do is, like, say I answer a question about relative keys like we did today, and then I notice, I'm like, hey, that little like clip from the live stream did really well. Everybody loved it. It got lots of thumbs up. A lot of people watched it. Well, that gives me a clue that I should make a full lesson on that topic. And so I think it's really going to help out the channel. So I just want to kind of let you know that your question, you're going to be seeing it again here in the next few days. Remember, books on composition. Yeah, so I'll have to compile that and take a look at those for you. Sunday. I will be there Sunday. All right, Neo. So happy you could come out with us. And thank you everybody else for coming out. It means so much to me that you could come out and learn with us live today. It's always a lot of fun getting together like this. I look forward to both Friday and Sunday. We're meeting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Friday, we're talking about basically all the skills you're going to need as a beginner piano player. So if you kind of want a list of what you should be practicing and working on, then you definitely want to check out Friday's video. One thing I want you to do today is check the description first of all, but I'm going to show you what it is. So I want you, if you're new to learning piano and you want to take a look, let's see. It's called the entire Learn to Play Piano series, but I don't know if it's there. Okay, let me show you. I'll show you a better place where you can find it. So go to the Lessons on the Web YouTube page. So just type me in. Lessons on the Web. You go there. You find me. You're like, oh, hey, that's me. Well, you wouldn't say that's me. That's what I would say. But anyway, you scroll down, and you scroll down some more, and actually you'll find a section, if you're new to learning piano, called Lessons for Beginner Piano Students, and one of the playlists, the first playlist there, is the Beginner Start Here playlist. If you're brand new to all this stuff, or you want to gear up for Friday's lesson, highly recommend you check out that. Actually, I shouldn't be playing that because that might get me flagged from the algorithm or whatever. But anyway, check that out. That's where I want you to go next. Just go to the Lessons on the Web YouTube page, scroll down, and then you'll find this playlist. But I also included it in the description for you as well. So that's exactly where I want you to go next. In fact, let me put that in the live chat right now. All right, so just give me a second here. Okay, so check out that link that I sent you. That's actually to all the piano lessons that I have, and that's really going to help if you really need to catch up with all my lessons basically from the beginning there. So I wanted to tell you about that. All right, everybody. So if you like today's lesson, you want to give me a little bit of a tip, feel free to leave a super chat. You, of course, don't have to. If you wonder what that is, below the chat, there's like a little dollar sign you can click. And if you want, you can donate me a few dollars. It is very appreciated. But of course, you don't have to. I just want to let you know about that. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming out today. This has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. I'm going to talk to you again on Friday. And you're going to see, you're going to see what we talked about today. Put into little lessons that you can look up very easily. So look forward to that. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you again on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Write it down. Don't forget. Link is in the description as well. As you can see, that's a common theme here. Link is in the description. All right, thanks everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.